Hola amigos, buenos dias. I hope you all had a lovely weekend. It's good to see you again, and I hope you're having a fantastic start to your week too. I thought for today's assembly I'd share a sweet little story with you called The Story of Ferdinand. It's a really famous little book, and it has actually been made into a movie as well. You may have even seen it before. It's about a little bull called Ferdinand, and it's set in Spain, where people enjoy going to watch bullfighting. Now, Ferdinand was a little bit different. He was a little bit unique. He did not like bullfighting or fighting in the ring at all. He much preferred to sit and smell the flowers rather than go into the bull ring and fight and be aggressive. So, the story is all about being different, being unique, and how that is completely fine. I hope you enjoy it. Here we go. The Story of Ferdinand by Munro Leaf. Once upon a time in Spain, there was a little bull, and his name was Ferdinand. All the other little bulls he lived with would run and jump and butt their heads together. But not Ferdinand. He liked to just sit quietly and smell the flowers. He had a favourite spot out in the pasture under a cork tree. It was his favourite tree, and he would sit in its shade all day and smell the flowers. Sometimes his mother, who was a cow, would worry about him. She was afraid he would be lonesome all by himself. "Why don't you run and play with the other little bulls and skip and butt your head?" she would say. But Ferdinand would shake his head. "I like it better here, where I can just sit quietly and smell the flowers." His mother saw that he was not lonesome, and because she was an understanding mother, even though she was a cow, she let him just sit there and be happy. As the years went by, Ferdinand grew and grew until he was very big and strong. All the other bulls who had grown up with him in the same pasture would fight each other all day. They would butt each other and stick each other with their horns. What they wanted most of all was to be picked to fight at the bullfights in Madrid. But not Ferdinand. He still liked to sit, just quietly, under the cork tree and smell the flowers. One day 5 men came in very funny hats to pick the biggest, fastest, roughest bull to fight in the bullfights in Madrid. All the other bulls ran around snorting and butting, leaping and jumping, so the men would think they were very, very strong and fierce and pick them. Ferdinand knew that they wouldn't pick him, and he didn't care. So he went out to sit under his favourite cork tree. He didn't look where he was sitting, and instead of sitting on the nice cool grass in the shade, he sat on a bumblebee. You can imagine what happened next, I'm sure. Well, if you were a bumblebee and a bull sat on you, what would you do? You would sting him, and that is just what this bee did to Ferdinand. Wow! Did it hurt? Ferdinand jumped up with a snort. He ran around puffing and snorting, butting and pawing the ground as if he were crazy. The 5 men saw him, and they all shouted with joy. Here was the largest and fiercest bull of all, just the one for the bullfights in Madrid. So they took him away for the bullfight day in a cart. What a day it was! Flags were flying, bands were playing, and all the lovely ladies had flowers in their hair. Looks very festive, doesn't it? They had a parade into the bull ring. First came the bandoleros, with long sharp pins with ribbons on them to stick in the bull and make him angry. Next came the picadores, who rode skinny horses, and they had long spears to stick in the bull and make him even more angry. Then came the matador, the proudest of all. He thought he was very handsome and bowed to the ladies. He had a red cape and a sword and was supposed to stick the bull last of all. Then came the bull, and you know who that was, don't you? Ferdinand. They called him Ferdinand the Fierce, and all the bandoleros were afraid of him, and the picadores were afraid of him, and the matador was scared stiff. He's sweating, he's so afraid. Ferdinand ran to the middle of the ring, and everyone shouted and clapped because they thought he was going to fight fiercely and butt and snort and stick his horns around. But not Ferdinand. When he got to the middle of the ring, he saw the flowers in all the lovely ladies' hair, and he just sat down quietly and smelled. He wouldn't fight and be fierce no matter what they did. He just sat and smelled. And the bandoleros were angry, and the picadores were even more angry, and the matador was so angry he cried because he couldn't show off with his cape and his sword. So they had to take Ferdinand home. And for all I know, he is still sitting there under his favourite cork tree, smelling the flowers just quietly. He is very happy. The end. And that is the story of Ferdinand. Now in that story, we learnt that Ferdinand was a little bit different to the other bulls. Instead of fighting and being aggressive, he liked to sit and smell the flowers. I'm sure some of you have felt a bit like Ferdinand at some point in your life, where everyone else seems to be enjoying doing one particular thing, and maybe you don't really like it. Maybe, for example, lots of children in the class enjoy playing football, but that's just not your thing. You'd rather go outside and draw, or play catch, or read a book. Maybe, on the other hand, all the other children in your class love reading. They love to sit quietly and enjoy a book, but maybe you prefer being more active, running around, outside, shouting, jumping, playing with your friends. The point is, we're all different, we're all unique, and we should celebrate our uniqueness and our differences. And just because everyone else seems to be doing one particular thing doesn't mean that you have to do it too, and it certainly doesn't mean that you have to like it too. Yes, we all have to do things we don't particularly like at some point, but remember that it's okay to enjoy the things that you enjoy, and it doesn't matter if other people aren't enjoying them or don't want to do them as much as you do. You are different, you are unique, and we should all help each other along and celebrate our differences. All right, boys and girls, let's close our eyes, bow our heads, or look at the candle for our reflection time. Thank you for uniqueness and differences. Help us to celebrate and nurture our differences and to encourage others to do the same. Help us to be happy with who we are. That's all for today, everyone. I hope you have a lovely Tuesday. I'm looking forward to seeing you later on in the week. Stay safe. Bye.